Hey everyone, it is the Day of Atonement here in 20 minutes probably when the sun is down. It's one of 2 days biblically we're commanded to keep from sundown to sundown. And that starts today on the Zadok calendar. It's the last Thursday of September 2023. And don't mind me carrying chicken food here real quick. These little boogers are hungry. They seem to like their feed. Now, when it comes to Day of Atonement, this biblically signifies Judgment Day. And remember, in the New Testament, it tells us that judgment starts with believers. And we are supposed to afflict ourselves willfully. We're supposed to understand we've broken the laws of God, accept our punishment, and afflict ourselves. In Leviticus 23, it tells us that on the Day of Atonement, we are to afflict ourselves and present a food offering before the Most High. Now, we don't have a temple and priests. Maybe you can't present a food offering before him. If you have a fire pit in your backyard, maybe throw a sandwich or a plate of food in there and do a burnt offering yourself. But besides doing that, we really can't give a food offering to the Lord. We don't have a temple, we don't have priests, but we most certainly can afflict ourselves. And it tells us that if you don't afflict yourselves, you'll be cut off from among the people. And we don't ever want that to happen. So we might as well honor this day as best as we can. Now, I want to make it clear, he tells us that we need to afflict ourselves. Most people fast on the Day of Atonement. That's what I am planning on doing. Now, fasting for some people is very hard, so maybe that's more than enough affliction for you. But I don't feel like it generally is enough for me. So what I'll usually do on the Day of Atonement is I'll choose to sleep on the floor, because that's definitely afflicting yourself when you're used to sleeping on a bed. But my ribs are still a little messed up, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do that tonight. But there's many ways you can afflict yourself. You know, it doesn't just have to be fasting. You could cut out social media from your life. You could cut out electronics. Just strip yourselves of the joy that you normally have. I know that sounds bad, but remember, this is a foreshadow for Judgment Day. And if we don't afflict ourselves, we're cut off from the next feast, which is Sukkot, tabernacling with the Lord. And that's biblically significant of Yeshua leading the kingdom after Judgment Day. And I don't know about you guys, I want to be there when Jesus is in charge. So I'm going to afflict myself when God says to afflict myself. Again, albeit if you're fasting or if you choose to afflict yourself another way, which it never tells us that affliction only means to fast. We are never commanded to only fast on the Day of Atonement. I believe there's, again, other ways to afflict yourself. You're going to hear different things from different people. So make up your own choice on that one. Follow your own convictions. But at the end of the day, I think you should be afflicting yourself somehow. You should be stripping yourself of some kind of joy, comfort, whatever that you normally have. Now, there's one other thing that I wanted to bring up. Now, this is my opinion, so take it or leave it. But when it comes to the different calendars, statistically speaking, there's been a lot of division amongst the Torah observant, Messianic Jewish community about the calendar to follow. Hillel calendar, Enoch calendar, Zadok calendar, any other calendar that you find. And I'm not arguing with people about this anymore. There's a lot bigger things to worry about. I'm not arguing about the calendar. If you want to know the calendar I celebrate on, the Zadok calendar, I have many videos about why I have chosen to observe that calendar. However, if you're not there yet, if you haven't chosen, there is one thing I wanted to bring up for you guys that I find interesting. If we look throughout the scriptures, there was the Passover, and people that couldn't make the Passover because of something they had going on, they were gone, they were unclean, whatever, the Most High made a second Passover available to them a month later. He was like, okay, if you can't make this one, make that one. Now, I'm kind of looking at the different calendars in the same light. You know, if you can't celebrate it on the Enoch calendar, which you normally celebrate, maybe celebrate it on the Zadok calendar. You know, again, completely 100% my opinion, but if the Most High saw it fit to allow people a second chance to observe a day that they needed to observe, I don't see why we shouldn't be able to do the same thing, why we shouldn't be willing. So if you're on the Hillel 2 calendar or the Enoch calendar or the Zadok calendar or any other calendar for the feast day, if you miss it, if you can't celebrate it for whatever reason on that calendar, well, you have a couple of other options. So today, on the Enoch, or not the Enoch, the Zadok calendar is the Day of Atonement. So if you missed a previous Day of Atonement on the calendar you normally follow, maybe observe it today. Just my opinion, but again, if the Most High saw it fit to allow us to celebrate an important day other than the original day he ordained, I think we should have grace with people who are on different calendars. And if you are making an effort to try and observe the holidays that God asked us to observe, the ones that Jesus observed, then that's saying a lot, in my opinion. You know, the fact that you're willing to go out of your way to try and keep these biblical holidays that the world is absolutely condemning. I mean, I hate to say it, but Christianity has condemned the Leviticus 23 holidays of God, the ones that Jesus celebrated. And remember, he's the one that told us to do and observe everything found in the Torah. He said that in Matthew 23, verses 1 through 3. So that includes the feast days. That includes the Sabbaths. Jesus kept the Sabbath. Jesus kept the feast days. We're told in 1 John 2, verse 6, that we need to walk in his footsteps. That means literally, not figuratively. So, do your best to observe this day. Honor it as the Day of Atonement. Afflict yourself however you can. Try to observe it. Do your best. I believe that's all that God and Jesus ever asked us, was that we put forth our best effort to keep his laws, to keep his holy days, to keep his name holy and sanctified and set apart. That is what he wants us to do. So that's what I'm going to try to do. And I hope you guys do the same thing. I will hold a Day of Atonement service tomorrow live on TikTok, and I'll repost it on YouTube. But it'll probably be around 3 p.m. Central Time. So if you are available, come on to TikTok and watch my live stream on the Day of Atonement. And then if you can't, like I said, I'll repost it on YouTube for you guys later. So anyways, enjoy or don't enjoy the Day of Atonement. That's always a tough one because it's a joyous time to celebrate the Feast of the Most High. But it's also a somber time, kind of like Passover. Again, those are the only 2 days that we're commanded to celebrate evening to evening, and they're both joyous but somber times. You have to get through judgment before you can get to the tabernacling with the Lord. And unfortunately, before you can be forgiven, all that bad stuff had to happen on Passover. So anyways, happy days, but somber days. So do your best to keep it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, join my live stream. I can't wait to see you guys, and Shabbat Shalom.